Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's charting session. Hopefully, all of you guys have been having a good weekend so far and ready to get the week started going into Monday tomorrow. So, it is Sunday, July 30th, about to come to the end of the month. Hoping everyone is doing well. Let's jump into the charting session. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a little bit about number one, where we overall are in the charts. Just talking about what I'm expecting for price action, kind of where we are looking at Friday, the action, and what I was expecting, and basically just based off the decision of Friday's action of kind of what I'm looking at going into the rest of the week. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what everything else on ES and NQ going into the week. We'll take a look at maybe gold and some forex pairs going into the week. And then we'll end off by any questions people have if they want me to go over any trades, and then we'll do a little bit of a replay session at the end. Sound good? All right, so first thing I want to go over is just kind of where we are right now looking at the Friday action and talking about what I want to see going into next week. So looking at the charts on NQ, first of all, I want to start on doing a top-down analysis starting out on the daily time frame. And we did just sweep these equal highs, right? So now that we've swept these equal highs, again, what are we looking for to have confidence that the draw on liquidity is, a lot lower than where we are right now? I would need to see a break of structure to the downside on a daily or a 4-hour fair value gap, right? Or a 4-hour time frame. I need bigger time frame confirmation, right? Because if we're looking at this, we just swept buy side here. That means that I would need to expect to see like us come up, maybe sweep this high, and then look to break through this low with a lot of displacement, right? Then that gives me confidence, like, okay, this is our market structure shift on a bigger time frame now. Now we could 100% expect to maybe come down here, sweep these equal lows. This is kind of the biggest area I'm watching going into the month, is looking at this weekly time frame. We do have this weekly fair value gap aligned with these equal lows that I want to see hopefully come back into. Again, I think we've just been in a bull run since February. I think that we're a little bit, displaced. I do believe that we're going back to all-time highs. I don't think that we're just going to dump, to be honest. I do believe we'll probably go back to all-time highs. I would like to see us get a little bit more of a retracement, hopefully back down to here. Maybe retest this kind of like breaker block that we have from this past area. But short-term wise, there's nothing that can tell me to be fully bearish until I get a breaker structure on a bigger time frame. So I'm going to continue to be pretty bullish until I can see one of these lows on a daily or 4-hour time frame get broken through. And probably I would look at it more at a daily time frame, because the daily time frame is going to give me overall more context, more bias. And the 4-hour could fake us out a little bit. Just, maybe come down, sweep that low, reprice just to mitigate that fair value gap, and then look to go to new highs. So for me to be bearish going into any sort of day or any sort of week or month, we need to break this through displacement. But until that happens, I'm going to continue to be bullish. But looking at NQ right now, the thing that also makes me even more bullish is going into Friday, looking at that Thursday candle. We had a massive push into this daily fair value gap, and then ended up closing, having a really nice rejection here, looking to see that low. Now, this to me was clear sell side, clear draw on liquidity, especially after that daily rejection. Now, going into Friday, I was pretty bearish, right? If I zoom into the 4-hour here, what I was expecting to see is this push down, maybe, a reprice into this discounted fair value gap, and then look to see these lows. But we just ended up running through all of these bearish fair value gaps. And this move through here and absolutely just disrespecting all of this is telling me that we're pretty strong. Now, this is going to be our future sell side that I want to see eventually come back to. But if I'm being honest, right now, I believe the draw on liquidity wants to be that previous high, especially because we just ran through all of this. Now, we initially rejected that previous 4-hour inverse when we came up. Again, we went back to OTE of this range. Oh, flipped it the wrong way. We went back to OTE, we came up, reached discount, tapped that 6-2, rejected the inverse, big move to the downside. I expect this pullback to reject this inverse for value gap, and then see this low. But we ended up running through all of this. So that is telling me that we're still pretty strong. Now, we did just sweep this internal high here. If I zoom in to the 15-minute, we can see that we just swept this internal buy side. We could get maybe a little bit of a short opportunity, but I don't believe that we would sweep this level and go towards these lows. I don't believe that we would sweep this and go towards here. I mean, we could. We still technically are in this daily fair value gap, right? We technically still are in this fair value gap. Like, we could reject, but just based off of these two candles alone, I would expect to see this first before seeing this, just because of that initial rejection. So going into tomorrow, I am going to be a little bit more bullish than I am bearish. Now, the only way that I would maybe be more bearish is if we just get a big move in the overnight session. And honestly, I would much rather see us come up in the overnight session and sweep that level. If we could sweep this level in the overnight session, then I would be a little bit more bearish going into the day, knowing that that external buy side has already been taken. But I probably maybe even would expect us to just come back here, maybe chop like something like this, and then sit in this inverse fair value gap. And at that point, I would probably expect us to, you know, see another long opportunity. But going into tomorrow in the week, or at least probably just tomorrow alone, I would say I'm going to keep more of a neutral bias. And the reason is because if we draw out this kind of range that we're in right now, we're sort of at this equilibrium point. I mean, we're more towards OTE, but we're kind of in the middle of this entire range here. And I would like to see us form a little bit more structure, especially after, you know, this, right? It's literally just a straight down move, straight up, taking out buy side. So again, I want to see a little bit more structure start to form. We'll see if we get anything in the overnight session that tells us or gives us a little bit of a clear draw on liquidity. But right now, we just swept this buy side on a smaller time frame. Could possibly expect us to, if we can break through this. Again, I still wouldn't look to trade shorts here, but I would look to see us come down and see this low as our sell side level on NQ. Yeah, so let's look at ES now. Again, ES, I actually like ES a lot more than NQ. And the reason is because ES's action looks like we could absolutely still reject. I'm still probably more bearish on ES than I am on NQ. The reason is because we have all of these internal highs being swept. 1, 2, 3. We take it out. Big displacement to the downside. We have a market structure shift. Not the best displacement, but we're now pulled back to discount on this fair value gap. ES looks really good for shorts, to be honest. I would like to see the rejection of this area and look to potentially see this low and then this low if we can get similar movement to the downside. But I mean, looking at this 4-hour time frame, or actually probably the 1 hour, we've come up, swept these, big displacement of the downside, and we're now pulling back to that OTE area. We just rejected off that 0.79. I would like to see displacement back to the downside. So going into tomorrow, depending on what happens in the overnight session, I would like to see this become the draw. Now, I'm going to be honest, it's probably not going to become the draw. I'd probably expect us to see this high. But what would give me confidence to expect to see this low being the draw is if we could come down, get some really nice displacement, right? Like obvious displacement of the downside. Break through this low and then maybe look to take a reversal here and then maybe look to see that low from there, right? But I want to see an initial reaction and rejection from here because we could reject here, come down and sweep this low, again, bounce off this inverse fair value. Again, we just ran through these fair value gaps still. Come down and sweep this and maybe, head back toward those highs. So a lot of it is just, I want to see more structure, right? We got to be patient. Overall time frame, I mean, zooming in, it's a little bit clear to understand, what's going on. We just swept this 15-minute high. If we can get, a little bit more structure start to form. Again, 5-minute, we haven't really had a break of structure. I mean, I guess you could say this low has been taken. I would expect to come down and see this. But right now, on a bigger time frame, I would like to see a little bit more structure. Could honestly expect to, I like these lows. Could honestly expect to see this become sell side, internal sell side, and then possibly even see this. Could be a possibility as well. So again, a lot of it is going to depend on what happens in the overnight session. We're kind of in the middle of this range. I am going to be a little bit more bullish. I mean, again, ES and NQ to me look like two different draws. That's why, again, when there's two different draws and it's not clear on where market wants to go, the best thing is just wait for more structure, right? Structure is going to be the telltale sign of what the draw on liquidity is, and that's the first thing that we need to have confidence in, right? If you don't have confidence in the draw on liquidity, you should not be taking any trade, guys. Okay, that is the one thing that you need. You absolutely need, is a necessity to take any sort of trade with our strategy, is a confident draw on liquidity. And if we don't have that, the best thing to do is just wait, be patient, let action and structure start to form to give you better context and better confidence on where that level is going to be. So that's my bias for ES and NQ going into tomorrow. Let's take a look at gold because I have been rocking with gold lately. Now, I actually was looking to take a gold trade on this initial move. I don't know why it wouldn't let me, but for some reason it wouldn't let me take longs here. But I was looking to take longs on gold when we initially took this level out and we had this fair value gap here. I was looking to take a longs here, put my stop somewhere down here, and I was targeting discount of this. We can actually see we tapped discount right here. So going into on gold, I am bullish on gold. I think the draw on liquidity is still going to be this. We just swept this bigger time frame fair value gap. Looking at the 4 hour, I think we're still really bullish. We just rejected this 4 hour discounted fair value gap. I do believe the external draw on liquidity now becomes this previous high, especially if I mean, we have a massive 4 hour fair value gap here. We got a big move to the downside on that one day from on gold. But I would like to see us come down. Let's see if we have any bullish fair value gaps. We do have this 1 hour that we're in right now. It looks like we are maybe kind of breaking through. I don't really like the placement of that. We don't really have a lot of room. 30-minute. We don't really have anything either. 15-minute, not really anything either. But looks to me that we just came down and swept these lows. So could honestly expect to get a move back up here on gold, to be honest. It actually doesn't look too bad for some longs. I don't want to look at this. I mean, 1 hour, that is, we are breaking kind of through that, but yeah, not a lot of clean structure here. And the reason is when I say that is because when you don't get, a lot of fair value gaps like that, again, a lot of it's just chop, slow move to the downside, expansion move, chop, expansion move, again, slow move, chop, again, expecting an expansion move here. So gold's not looking too bad. I would probably be more bullish going into the next day on gold. We have reached discount of this range, but just because we've swept this external sell side, I am going to be more bullish going into the day. Let's take a look at YM. YM's actually fucking... This action is not looking too hot, to be honest. Actually going to start on the 4 hour. YM's been on a run. I'm still going to be bullish on YM. I mean, actually, I want to look a little bit more out here. Daily, ooh, we just swept this daily high here, and we're having displacement to the downside. So I actually might be a little bit more bearish on YM here, especially with this move to the downside. Did we sweep this low? Oh, look at all these equal lows right here as well. Yeah, YM is actually not looking too bad here for some shorts. It just came up. Look at all that rejection too on that 4 hour time frame. I would want the draw on liquidity for YM to be these equal lows here. We just had a move to the downside, 15-minute. We just had, again, break a structure, pull back to that discounted fair value gap. YM does not look bad at all. Would expect the draw on liquidity to be this low here. Yeah, YM's not looking too bad, and we've just retraced back to discount of both of these ranges, right? This range right here, we retrace back to OTE, right? 0.62 rejected, and then again internal model, right? Overlapping models here. Zooming in, we just reached back to OTE in this range as well. Rejecting, looking to come down, possibly going to come back into this 15-minute fair value gap. I would expect this to reject, and then look to see sell side. It's not looking too bad. Now, I'm not going to take this because it is in the overnight session, but it actually would not be that bad of a trade, to be honest. So I'm going to draw this out, and I'll come back to it tomorrow and see how it plays out. In fact, what's the contract? I don't know what the contract actually, wait, let me just do this. Stop loss 55 to actually I might enter this, to be honest, on the Top Step account and just let it go overnight. and just see what happens. Only risking $320. That's not bad at all for a $1,000 game. Might just up that to 3 contracts, to be honest. Wait, why is it not? It's not updating though. Doesn't look too bad. Might put an order in here and just let YM do its thing. We come back up. Would like to see us come back up to that 5-minute fair value gap, but we do have a 15-minute here, so. But I'm gonna leave it somewhere there. And if I get tapped, whatever. And then I'll put a stop up here. All right, we'll come back to that on YM. Actually, I'm gonna take that off because in case I don't get filled. All right. Anybody want me to look at anything specifically? If you guys want me to check out any pairs or anything? I find it harder to define the draw and liquidity on trending markets. Always take all-time highs, for example, than a sideways market on sideways. I find that the once buy side is taken, sell side is next, but in trending is kind of different. Any tips? Yeah, so the best thing, again, I agree with that. The best thing that you can do to understand the draw in a trending market is looking to see pullbacks to discount. A pullback to discount and a bounce off a bigger time frame PD array is going to be what you're looking for to understand that the draw is going to be whatever that recent high is. So if we're in a trending market like this, right? And it just seems like we're not sweeping any sort of sell side, right? Because like, all right, I would, if I'm looking along, I would want to see this low get taken. But again, we don't go there. We go here. Maybe we do this again, right? Like I would, okay, this is sell side, but we don't even come down to sweep this, right? So the first thing I want to see is, okay, yes, this is sell side. I would like to see this get swept. But what we want to also pay attention to is once we pull back to discount, I would like to see internal structure. So if we're in a trending market and let's say we have a big expansion move to the upside. We're starting to chop, we sweep internal, whatever it is, we're starting to, come down, boom. And then we have like a massive fair value gap here, right? Like let's say we're looking at a 15-minute time frame, right? We're looking at a 15-minute time frame, and if we're looking at this chart here, number one, this is going to be what we're looking at already, buy side liquidity. And let's say, again, we've now pulled back to discount of this range, right? We've now pulled back to discount. So now what would I want to see here? This is when I zoom in. I'm like, all right, okay, we're in a 15-minute fair value gap. We're in an overall bullish trend. If we bounce off of this with big displacement and I get an internal break of structure, that gives me confidence that the draw is this. But I am not automatically longing this, expecting this to be the draw. Now, let's say this happens. If we end up breaking through this with big displacement and there's nothing over here to really validate any other, bounce, then I would expect whatever that recent low is to be the draw on liquidity. Again, what is being respected, what is being disrespected? And when we're in a trending market, the biggest thing that we can recognize is what is being respected, what is being disrespected. So there's two ways that you could trade this, right? If we go into the day, I'm looking at this 15-minute, this gets ran through, and then we end up, getting a bounce up into, let's say this fair value gap. If this gets respected, what do I think the draw on liquidity is? This low first and then this low, right? So what do I look for? I look for internal structure. I say, okay, we're looking for a rejection. All right. We put a high in, we put a new high. Oh, break a structure to the downside. Boom. That's my short right here, right? Looking at an internal structure, right? Come down, we sweep internal, break a structure, pull back to fair value gap, boom. But I have to have this overall bias, right? For me to understand that that is even a possibility, right? Because for me to even realize that's a possibility, I have to understand, hey, we just ran through this 15-minute bullish fair value gap, right? We're telling me that we're disrespecting this. In a bullish market, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be bouncing off this, right? Now, if this gets ran through, like let's say this happens, right? Boom. Then this gives me confidence that the draw is going to be this, right? But again, what would I look? There's multiple ways I could trade this. But again, it's all waiting to see the reaction. I'm not automatically expecting to see a fair value gap hold. I need some sort of external or bigger time frame bias to then zoom in and take a trade, right? So again, we break through. I would look to see internal, once we go back to discount, and then look to see internal break of structure, then look to take a short, right? That is where my short would be. Right here, put a stop somewhere down here. I would expect to see those lows, right? Another way that I could do this is we come into this 15-minute fair value gap. We come up, or let's say, we sweep, we have some sort of low to the left of us, right? Right, let's say we come down, we sweep this low. And then I'm looking to see some displacement back to the upside, right? We get, we come up, we're still forming some more structure. Maybe we sweep one more time. Coming up, boom. We get, big move to the upside. We're breaking structure to the upside. Okay, now what am I looking for? I'm looking to see this fair value gap now hold. Once this holds, that is going to be my long, right? Then this gives me confidence. I'm like, oh, hey, we're starting to come. All right, boom. That's my long. Again, validating that this bigger time frame, we just held this fair value gap. So that's telling me the draw is not this. We just went back to discount of this range, now having a break of structure to the upside, and now pulling back to this fair value gap. This is way, 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 way more probable now of a long than it would be if I just took that initial 15-minute fair value gap, right? Make sense? So it's always looking for structure, always looking for validation of bigger time frame. That is how we can get our overall bias. Like looking at YM, for example. Like why would I want to take a short on YM? Well, I'll show you, right? Looking at what's being respected, what's being disrespected. Well, first thing. Oh, let me go. There we go. First thing, bigger time frame context, right? Daily time frame. Okay, my bias on a daily time frame is bearish. Why? Because we just swept this big high here on buy side liquidity, and we had an instant rejection to the downside. Okay, that's telling me, I have some sort of bigger time frame bearish bias. Now, that doesn't mean to just jump in expecting to see, a good trade, right? That's not what it is. So now what do I wait for? I wait to see big displacement to the downside. Boom, big displacement to the downside. Okay, what do I notice? Well, we just formed 3 equal lows here. What do we know about equal lows? They act as a magnet. They act as a target for liquidity. That's going to be somewhere I want to notice. Wow, what do I also notice here? We've just pulled back to this 4-hour discounted fair value gap in OTE and had multiple rejections of this area. Okay, what is that telling me? The drawn liquidity becomes this low. Okay, so now I have 3 biases that are all aligning with a bearish bias on a bigger time frame. Okay, so now how do I look for an entry? I zoom in and I wait to see an overlapping model, the exact same thing I'm looking for. Hey, we're rejecting off this bigger time frame fair value gap. Now what am I looking for? Displacement to the downside. Boom, we get a big move to the downside. Okay, now what am I looking for? Discount, pull back to discount. Wow, hey, we pulled back to discount now in this range. Now what am I looking for? A rejection, another internal rejection. Hey, look, we just swept this internal level here. Hey, we just had displacement to the downside. This now becomes my market structure shift. Hey, we're pulling back to a fair value gap. That's my best possible short I could ever take because, hey, I have 5 fucking overlapping models. This is the trades that you want to take because it's every time frame aligning with your bias. And hey, if you get stopped, I am a lot happier taking this loss as a stop than any other trade I could possibly take. Because this is telling me this is going to be the most, I have context and bias for everything, right? That's going to be the best possible entry I could take. Make sense? Yeah, I am looking to take this YM trade. I have a limit order set, but we already tapped this 15-minute fair value gap, so we'll see if we come up a little bit more, But hopefully that, because I want you guys to really understand the importance of a bigger time frame bias, right? Overlapping models is the biggest thing we want to pay attention to, right? Because that is when patience comes into play. When I always say, guys, there's no I always say when we're in a live session, they're like, hey, Justin, longs here, shorts here, longs here, shorts here. No, and I always say the exact same thing. I said no, I'm waiting for structure, and the reason is because I want to see multiple time frame biases showing me, giving me structural bias to tell me what the drawn liquidity is. That is going to be the highest quality trades that I could take is when I have every time frame aligning with that bias and I can look to take the best trades, right? That is how you're going to be profitable. That is how you're going to be consistent. But if you don't have the discipline to wait and actually be patient and wait for those A plus setups because you don't care about actually winning. You just want to take on trades because you can't sit fucking still. That's the problem with a lot of you guys is you just can't sit still. You think that if you're putting on a trade, then you're actively learning, which you are. You're gaining experience, but you don't have the patience and the discipline to actually wait for structure. This is how you should view the market. This is how you should view it. You should not take a single trade and be so fucking picky until an opportunity comes to you where it is so clear that you have to take it. You should be so picky with your trades that there should be an opportunity that is so clear to you that you have to take it just because it's so clear. Once you start thinking like that, because most of you guys are thinking the exact opposite of that. You're like, oh, hey, we just swept a random fucking high. We should dump here, right? Like, we should probably dump here. That's probably, hey, there's a possibility of us dumping here. The only thing giving me context is that we swept a high, though. Like, there's nothing else giving me context. Hey, I'm still going to take this trade, though, right? You gotta have multiple biases, and you gotta have the patience to actually wait for quality setups, wait for multiple time frame biases to actually give you something that you can rely on. You wonder why a lot of you guys are inconsistent is because you're not waiting for bigger time frame biases. And if you can go into your journal, if you are journaling, and look at what your losses and what your wins are, I guarantee you the biggest losses and the most of the losses you're going to have are losses that lack a bigger time frame or multiple model bias, overlapping models. No lesson learned when you trade without a setup. Hard lesson learned for me. Yep. With gold on 4 hour, the SSL was swept, which looks like a break of structure to me. But why is it a sweep for you? Because bigger time frame bias. All right, looking at gold. Again, looking at a daily time frame on gold. Actually, let me go to here. The bigger time frame on gold, right? Hey, we just had this massive move to the downside. Hey, guess where we bounced off of? Volume imbalance. Fair value gap. Hey, guess where we also bounce off of? Optimal trade entry, OTE, literally to the exact tick of 0.79. Hey, what also just happened? We just had a massive move to the upside displacing. What does this expect to be? Market structure shift. Okay, what does this now expect to be? Turtle soup. Because we just had a massive fair value gap here. We just came down, swept this level, right? Where do you think all of longs are putting their stop losses? If I'm in some sort of long up here, where do you think I'm putting my stop loss? Right here. So what do we expect? Look at this candle. Is this not a This is literally what a manipulation move looks like. Just a massive move. There is no reason for us to sell off here, and yet we do. Just to sweep this level. Notice, there's no displacement through this level. It's not like we break through this to go lower. We come down just to stop this level out and then starting to slow grind back to the upside. Now, we could reject, right? We've reached back to discount of this range. We could maybe start to sell off. But if I'm being honest, I'm expecting all of these imbalances to fill. I don't think we reject off of this, or at least now. I expect us to go a lot higher and maybe then look to come to the downside. So this, to me, I'm expecting to just see a slow grind to the upside. That's why I'm expecting to sweep internal structure like this, bounce off of bigger time frame for value gap, something like this, and then look to see, previous buy side. Make sense? What's my stop on YM? If I get filled, it's going to be this high. I know everyone is different, but what are your rules as far as how many trades you will take per day, or do you do percent loss or gain per day? That's a good question. So I've kind of gotten to a point where I think normally in the morning when I take 2 losses, I don't really. I think 2 losses is when I really start to cut back. I'll still potentially take another 3rd loss, maybe come back in the PM session and then maybe take a 3rd trade. But after 3, I can't remember the last time that I've taken 4 trades in a day, to be honest. And like all of them have been losses. But like we had that one of the day earlier that week where I took 3 losses, and that last trade I ended up getting stopped to the tick, and then we ended up selling off. That was a day where, again, I'm fine taking a 3rd trade after 2 losses because I have confidence with that trade, right? But a lot of you guys can't recognize when you're over trading or you're actually taking a good setup, because that's when emotion starts to come into play. A lot of you guys, when you go into the morning, you take 2 losses, you can't control your emotion after that. You start to see opportunity that's not really even there, right? You start taking trades when there's really no reason for you to be taking that trade, and that just comes with experience, being able to recognize, what are actually good opportunities and what are just ways that you're just going to end up burning capital. Make sense? This might be an irrelevant question, but with Tradeovate no longer being available, what other brokers do you recommend for TopStep? Just do TradingView, like what I'm doing right now. Let's just TradingView. Wait, Tradeovate's not available anymore? They got rid of it? Why? They were having problems with it, I guess. Yeah, I'm looking to take this trade on the funded account. And I'll hold it overnight. But it's really good risk on this. I'm only risking trying to look at 3 contracts on. I'm only risking 480 on this. I know you don't like getting into drama, but do you know who Juvier is? I feel like he's one of those. I have no clue who that is. Does Quant Tower have mobile? I have no clue what Quant Tower is either. Tradeovate only isn't available for new accounts. Gotcha. What broker I can use to trade a MFF account? What's an MFF account? My Forex funds? I couldn't tell you. I haven't used them. I've just used TopStep. All right, you guys want to do a little bit of a replay session or what? And then to end off the night? Yes. All right, let's do it on let me move my fill because I kind of want to get filled here, but we'll see. Would like to see us come up a little bit. All right, we'll come back to that. We'll see if I get filled or not. Let's do it on. Could you analyze GU? GU? What is this? GB? I don't think this is the right thing. What's GU? You're doing an yeah, we're trading AM Nora. 6B? The fuck? British pound. Gotcha. All right. Let's take a look at British pound. Oh, well, we'll do a replay session on British pound. Fuck it. Looking at this, to me, I mean, not too clear. We just swapped this internal level, so looking at this 4 hour, I would expect to possibly come back down a little bit more. Zooming in on this 1 hour, what I would want to see on this would be this. I would want to see us come back down, sweep this level that we've just kind of created here on the 15-minute. Retrace back to discount if we can of this range here. Looking to come down, sweep that level, and look to see displacement back to the upside. So I would want to see this. I would want to see us come back here and then look to see this. That's what I would want to see on British pound. All right, let's do a little replay session. Let's go to a 4 hour. And let's go here. All right. So what's my bias right here? First thing, I want to start on the daily, look at kind of where we are. Right now, we're not really. We just swapped this internal daily fair value gap. We don't really, or just daily low. We don't really have a fair value gap here. We do have maybe a 4 hour. Oh wait, this is exactly where we are right now, isn't it? Wait, I'm stupid. Wait, I was like, what the hell? Wait, let me redo that. Sorry. Okay, there we go. All right. So we just swapped this buy side level. Now we are coming back in the discount, so I would like to see this become the draw on liquidity. Did have some nice displacement down to the downside. Looking at the 1 hour, we have had displacement through this level. I would like to see us come back to this fair value gap and then look to see some internal structure. But I would like to see this become the draw on liquidity here. So probably would expect that. Okay, so now we swept that level. We're bouncing off This fair value gap right here. Notice we sweep this, no displacement really through this. This is where I zoom in. Looking to see some internal structure. We had big displacement up. We're bouncing off that 4-hour fair value gap. Would like to see that recent high get met. Again, still not clean enough for me to say if we have displacement to the upside, but so far we're looking pretty good. Right now, coming back into this fair value gap. Again, I would expect the draw on liquidity to probably be these previous highs. So right now I want to see if we internal sweep this or not. So far, looks like we're not looking too bad. 5 minutes not looking too bad either. Starting to displace through this. Why is the volume so... Why is there like no volume to this? There's not really any volume here. Shorts don't look too bad, but we did just sweep that. I would need to see that come down. There we go. That would be my first target. I just got wicked, but this would have been my first target for shorts. We sweep this. Again, come up, reject this fair value gap. We get displacement to the downside, pull back to that fair value gap. This move again, coming up to stop all these people out that are here, equal highs, rejection, come back. So now I would need to see continuation. My stop would be at break even, but we'll see if that gets wicked or not, or we continue back. This move to the upside would probably make me get stopped out. If we just swept this and then big displacement, I would probably expect us to go back to this high. There we go. Go back to that high. Again, at this point in time, I would expect the draw on liquidity to be here, so I would probably just expect to go straight move up until that high. Yep, there we go. So we just swept that level now. 5 minute, not really clean enough structure for me to base anything off of. I would still wait. Probably would still go to new highs. Yep, come back. Did we sweep that or did we form equal highs? Equal highs here. Again, that would be a target. Would want to see that get taken out first for me to do anything. There we go. This gets swept. We have some displacement pulling back in that fair value gap. This wouldn't be a bad short, but if I'm being honest, it's not exactly what I would want to see. It's not too bad if I was to take this short. It's not too bad. I would look to see probably this low here. I'm looking at a 1 hour yeah, I'll probably look to see that low. Oh, I accidentally fucked up. I accidentally went to a 1 minute chart. I think I just chalked. I think I sold. Oh, let me go back. Here we go. Okay. Go back to where I was here. 5 minute chart is just kind of consolidating here. Again, don't really like where we are right now. I'd want to see a lot more structure start to form here. Looking at a 15 minute. Okay, just came up, swept internal again. Starting to form kind of a broadening formation here. I would expect to see a little bit more of a move to the downside. I would want to see us move back to the downside and come down and maybe take that low out. There we go. I didn't have a chance to take it off right there, but there we go. That low ended up sweeping. Again, at this point in time, we're pretty bullish here. I would look to probably come down, sweep this, and then go back to those highs. Bigger time frame for value gap, would probably expect a 1 hour to be here. Pull back the discount of this, and then look to come back to those highs. So we'll see if that 15-minute level gets swept or not. There we go. We end up sweeping. We'll see if we get displacement. I'd probably just blindly long this just to test the draw on liquidity. But I wouldn't actually, again, this would be a bad trade. I would need to see at least some displacement to the upside first before taking a long. There we go. Ends up coming down. And that move is pretty bearish. We'll see if that ends up getting swept or not. Looks like we swept internal, but we are breaking through that bigger time frame for a value gap. Again, still holding that 1 hour, I'm guessing. I'm guessing that 1 hour still holding. Yeah, it is. No really candle close below this. Does look pretty sketch, but I would expect the draw on liquidity to be that recent high. There we go. Ends up getting swept. Again, don't really have time to take it off because it's moving fast. Displacement to the downside. What would I want to see? Probably these equal lows being the first draw on liquidity. Equal low should get taken right here. Again, still waiting. Still waiting. Looks like we didn't. We'll see if, again, overnight session, low volume. Again, I would just be waiting at this point in time. But I would want to see that get taken. There we go. We sweep internal right here. We're still holding. I want to see that 4 hour, what the 4 hours looking like. 4 hours not looking too bright, to be honest. I would like to see some displacement back to the downside. Guessing that consequent encroachment of this wick just got tapped. No, it didn't. I would want to see a bigger move to the downside, to be honest. Well, there it is. Look at the 1 hour. And right now, point in time, we're looking good. Again, expect the draw on liquidity probably be higher now. We didn't sweep this level though, so I do want to be careful about that. There we go. So now we swept this level area. 4 hour. Actually, it doesn't look. We're looking pretty bearish, to be honest. We're looking pretty bearish. It's kind of a blind short, but I would want to see this become low resistance liquidity run. There we go. Yeah, we end up sweeping all that. Now having displacement. Now I would expect, okay, now expect a draw on liquidity. I think we're actually where we are right now, aren't we? Are we? Because this looks really pretty bullish now. Oh, this is looking like another low resistance. Again, could expect to see this get ran through. This is where I would want to zoom in. We just rejected that 4 hour fair value. Got big rejection here. Looking at the 1 hour. Just swept that internal low. Pulling back. Don't like that. Yeah, we're going straight through that. Now that we ran through that, I would probably expect us to go to those highs, but we'll see if we sweep this buy side level or not. 15-minute. Again, not looking too appetizing for shorts. Probably just going to go to those highs. We'll see. Again, 15-minute. Would just be looking for more structure here at this point. There we go. Pull back. I'd probably, this would be, honestly, wouldn't even really, 4 hour to me, this is more bullish than it is bearish. Goes right back to those highs. We just sweep external buy side, starting to have displacement to the downside. 4 hour fair value gap. We'll see if this gets rejected or not. We'll see if we get an internal break of structure or not. Not really. Coming up. Gets ran right through. Again, ultra bullish here at this point in time. Again, now pulling back to discounted fair value gap. This is where I look for that internal break, right, guys? Looks like we probably pulled back to discount here, but again, this would be probably a little bit of an early long, but overall context would say that I would want the draw to be there, but we'll see if we sweep that. This move to the upside, I would want to see this become the draw. But we did just sweep that. Oh, again, wicked up there. So that high is now taken. Rejection. If we break through that low with big displacement, I would expect to probably see lower. Again, looks like we're still sweeping it. There we go. Would now expect to see. We have reached back to discount, so this is breaking back to the upside. We are running through these fair value gaps, still holding that bullish as well. Probably expect to see higher. That would be trimmed off. Probably going to dump on me now. There we go. Right back to the highs. Filled on YM. Let's take a look at YM. We are filled on YM. All right. So I am in some shorts on YM. I'm gonna hold this overnight. I'm gonna put my orders in and just we'll see what happens. All right. Any questions on that little replay session? Do you guys I'm hoping you guys get something out of that. Do you guys get something out of that? Okay, good. Question. Let's hear it, Matthew. Do you always look for internal sweep before? I've been watching ICT and it seems like he doesn't always need one. It depends on it just depends on the model, to be honest. It all depends on whatever the structure I'm looking at is. All right, guys, that's pretty much all I have for you guys tonight. If anybody has any more questions, always feel free to just at me in the Discord. But right now, I'm gonna let this trade play out. I actually might leave a runner. This is a 1 hour though, but I'll probably just let this do its thing. Go through an example of each. What do you mean each? What? My last question. With and without internal, again, it all depends. I really can't draw it out because it all just depends. I can give you 100 different examples. All right, guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Get some rest. I will see you all tomorrow morning for live trading. If you have any specific questions, again, always at me in the Discord, and I'll get back to you guys. But I'm hopefully you guys enjoy these charting sessions and get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Peace.